Hello everyone, and we're here to talk about the roadmap and hierarchy enhancements in Clarity 15.9.1. As part of 15.9.1, the following enhancements have been made to roadmap and hierarchy. The first is the roadmap items have been enhanced to synchronize additional investment attributes. And second, we have introduced the first time ever a cross investment grid in our hierarchy. Why is this important? Customers that leverage our out-of-the-box attributes when defining their roadmap have hard time prioritizing the same investments in roadmap when some of the out-of-the-box attributes are not available to them. Primarily the out-of-the-box prioritization attributes. So in this release, we have addressed that by synchronizing additional parameters. The second is hierarchy is the means to be able to see a hierarchical view of your investments across different types. So when you build your hierarchy, you can pull in instances from different investment types, but you could not see the same data in a grid. This is the first release where now you can see the data across different investment types in a single grid. The additional attributes that have been added to the roadmap item are as follows: goal, project category, corporate priority, business unit priority, architectural fit, commercial value, regulatory compliance, and technology compliance. These attributes are now available in your roadmap item, and when you synchronize your roadmap, these values will be then pulled over from their respective investments and be available to you in roadmap item. Synchronizing these values are as follows: that the goal attribute is available to be synchronized, listed in the other column for sync linked items. However, the rest of those prioritization attributes are synchronized when you select the matching custom attributes. The cross investment grid, this is the first time ever in modern UX where we have the ability to pull in data and display it in a single grid, which is from across the different investments. All investment included in the hierarchy is automatically viewed in this grid. Grid will allow viewing data that is common across all investments, or be able to see the specific individual investment type data. Data in this grid is read-only, and any updates made in this investment type instance is reflected automatically, which means if I was to pull in a project into my hierarchy, I can see the project information in my grid. If I then go back to my project and change a value, such as my total cost, then when I come back to hierarchy, I will automatically see that updated cost information. Grid can also be used to export the data out of Clarity. So it has the common export to CSV option available, so that this multiple data that I'm seeing from multiple investment types can be extracted out as a CSV file. When you do that, you will see that the very first row will list out which investment type the data is from. The second row will tell you the attributes from that specific investment, and then the rest of the data will be listed below that. The cross investment grid, again, in the hierarchy, when you build your hierarchy and you import data from multiple investments, you can then define the linkage for each one of those investments. And once done so, there is a new grid icon that when you click on it will take you to the new cross investment grid where you can see all the data from all the investments that have been pulled into your hierarchy. In my example, I've pulled in data from idea and project, and thus the columns that are common across idea and projects are listed under common investments. The data that is specific to idea is then listed under the idea section. And then finally, the project specific data is listed under the project section. So ideas and projects. The cross investment grid has the similar functionality as the common grid. So I can pull in additional columns to be viewed in this grid. And to make it easy for the users, the data that is specific to each investment type is easily categorized under their investment type. So here under my column picker, there is the common investment that has all its attributes. Ideas specific attributes are listed under ideas, and project specific attributes are listed under the project section. When the data is pulled in, we also have the flyout available. And in the flyout, we categorize or define each attribute based on where that data is coming from. The common investment data is just listed by the attribute name only. Data specific from a specific investment will have that investment name listed. So in this case, sponsor is coming from idea and funding risk is coming from project. The same is available for filter, that if I'm trying to filter my data, I can filter either based on the common investment, or I can filter based on specific investment data. And in that case, I'll list out that this is coming either from idea or project, and that is listed under the ideas. And in the filter, we have the investment type listed as part of the attribute name in the filter. Once you've created a filter based on some of the existing attributes, any commonly or recently used attribute will always be listed on top of the list. The cross investment grid also supports the other common grid functionality such as group by, in which case if you group by any attribute that is included, you can see the data accordingly. You can group by a common investment attribute, or you can group by an attribute that is unique to a specific investment. If you group by a specific investment attribute, then the other investment types that do not have that data will be listed under none. So in my example, funding risk is only available in project. So all my ideas are listed under none because there is no funding risk populated for ideas. But the projects are categorized based on high, medium, low funding risk. Attributes that are of numerical type are automatically aggregated. So in this example, I have grouped by architectural fit, and I can see the budgeted, which is automatically aggregated up to the summary row. With that, let's jump in to see the new product functionality. So here I am in Clarity 15.9.1, and I am going to first go into the object definition where you can see the new attributes that are there for roadmap item. So right here within the roadmap item, I can go into attributes and I can see all the new attributes that have been added as out of the box, such as goal is being added. The regulatory compliance, all the prioritization attributes have all been added. So I can see all of those values from right here. But I'm now going to go back to my roadmap itself, and I'm going to now see how those data can be synchronized. So I'm going to go into my FY 2020 product planning roadmap. And in here, I have the data that's pulled in from the existing projects. And you can see that I have these categorized based on the goals that have been assigned to the project, as well as I'm seeing all the additional funding values for my projects. In this case, I have my BYOD management under infrastructure improvement. So I realize that this doesn't belong under infrastructure. The goal of this is really to grow my business. So I can go into my project list view. I can change the goal to grow the business. And now when I go back to my roadmap, I have the option to synchronize my value. So right now it's still listed under infrastructure. I can go ahead and sync link items. I don't have to synchronize everything. Notice that the goal is listed under the other category. I can just synchronize my goal. And once the sync is done, the BYOD management will move under the grow the business. If I wanted to synchronize the prioritization attributes, then I would have to select the sync matching custom attributes, because those prioritization attributes will then be pulled in as the custom attributes. The synchronization is done, and you can see that the BYOD now has moved from infrastructure improvement to grow the business. And if I go back in here, matching custom attributes is what I would select if I want to synchronize my prioritization attributes. Next, I'm going to go into my hierarchy. And I have my hierarchy defined for my medical center, where I am running the medical program. They have centers across the different parts of the country, and I want to be able to see their hierarchical information. In this hierarchy, I have my 4 different medical centers, and I have the hierarchy built for what I am funding, what contracts I might have going on for each one of these different ones. And I have information that are aggregated and rolled up as to what is my total profit for just overall business, as well as for each individual centers. The data that's in my hierarchy is coming from about 4 or 5 different investment types, which is my the contracts, my medical centers, and so on and so forth. There are about 3 or 4 different investment types that I have pulled over. I can see all this hierarchy information, but if I wanted to see additional details, maybe some specifics for some of these ones, then I can now go into the grid layout, and that's where I can see any data from any one of these different investments that I have pulled over. So this is the common investment grid. The first thing you'll notice is that I have my common investment. This is where the data that is common across all my investment types, that is displayed right here. The next is the data that I have from my contracts, which is another custom investment type. And that data is displayed right here, followed by medical center, medical equipment, and strategy. So these are all different, and the data is coming from their respective ones. Same thing if I go into the column picker. All the data that's available to me from the common investment is listed right here. The next is the contract, followed by the medical center, medical equipment, and so on. So all those data is available to me right here. If let's go back to my view. I can save this view just like all the other common grid functionality. I can click on any one and look at the details. And when I do that, you can see that the data that's common across all investments will be displayed with the investment without the investment information listed. The data that is unique to a specific investment will have the investment type listed in parentheses right next to that attribute. So in this case, name is common. So name does not have any investment type listed, whereas this data is coming from their respective types. I can sort by any combination of columns up to 4 columns at a time. This is again a common functionality. And so I can even sort based on values across different investment types. In this case, I have 2 columns from my custom investment, common investment, and 1 from the contract, so I can do that. I can also apply the filter based on values from different investment types. So the common investment is right on top. If I scroll down, I can see the other investment types listed right here, and I can pick any of those values that I would want to. So in this case, let's filter for medical centers that are located in a certain state. So you can see the address for the medical center, and I can say state Illinois. And now only this one medical center is listed in that state. Let's filter for medical center equipment based on the different medical centers. So I just want to see the equipment that I have bought for these 2 medical centers. When I do that, it'll filter the data, and I can see that I have the beds that have been bought for both the medical centers, and then I've bought the extra machine for Good Health, or Ashram, sorry. I can move these columns, so I can basically resort them. However, the moving of the columns will only work within their investment type. So for example, I can move the benefit to be earlier. However, I cannot move the category of a contract to the common investment type. That's not an option. I can do a group by using any one of these fields. So I'm just going to do a group by my investments. And the investments are all aggregated. The plan cost is all aggregated up. And any investments that don't have values or does not have investment populated is listed under none. Finally, I can use the export to CSV, and I can export this data out, and it'll then show me the values where the first row is my investment types, second row are my columns, and then the rest of the data will be under there. That concludes the demo for the enhancements made to roadmap and hierarchical investments.